Right, this is a story we've been talking about for quite some time now.
A $75 million incinerator is the topic of debate.
That's being labeled as green energy.
You know, we're talking about it like it's a piece of art. It's a garbage dump. It's an incinerator. It burns garbage.
For more than 100 years, the incinerator industry has been burning trash in an attempt to address the world's growing waste problem. The US built its first municipal waste burner in 1885, but incineration was a minor industry until the 1970s, when a confluence of factors, tax breaks, guaranteed electricity sales, a perceived landfill crisis, and the collapse of the nuclear power industry spurred hundreds of proposals for municipal and medical waste incinerators. Globally, we now produce over 2 billion tons of household waste a year, and the US is one of the top contributors to this vast amount of trash. More than 80% of that global waste ends up in landfills, polluting the environment, harming people, and emitting toxins and methane, and at least 80 times more potent greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. And much of it comes from organic waste. The rest that cannot be recycled or landfilled gets burned in an incinerator, a furnace that processes municipal waste through combustion. Incineration is one of the most toxic, dangerous, expensive, and climate-polluting ways to deal with trash. Incineration is so expensive that it can only stay afloat by relying on renewable energy credits, costly subsidies, and externalizing costs. Industry diverts more than $40 million in subsidies annually from cleaner energy sources while polluting the environment and undermining clean energy goals. 8 out of 10 US-based incinerators are located in low-income communities and communities of color, but everyone is affected by our reliance on incinerators. To put things into perspective, approximately 4.4 million people live within 3 miles of an incinerator in the US. Most municipal solid waste incinerators were built in the 1980s and 90s. With an average lifespan of 30 years, many are reaching their end. Challenges caused by aging incinerators are still present today, constantly harming communities with an ever-increasing number of emissions violations, explosions and fires, and worker safety issues. The Global Alliance for Incinerator Alternatives has advocated for environmental justice and supported community-led initiatives against incinerators while promoting the benefits of zero waste. Between 2000 and 2022, 48 trash incinerators in the US closed for good. One of them was once located in Detroit, Michigan. After decades of residents and community groups, including Breathe Free Detroit and the Zero Waste Detroit Coalition, fighting to shut down the local incinerator, Detroit closed its incinerator in March of 2019.
Anyway, there it goes. Bye-bye. And it's
Down
and
she goes.
Done. That's all it took.
But the process of taking down an incinerator continues to pose major challenges. Although Detroit community residents had a huge victory in shutting down the incinerator, the problems don't just end when the incinerator stops burning. Decommissioning is hazardous business. Dismantling the actual building releases decades of accumulated toxins, particulate matter, and harmful ashes. The Gaia US and Canada team got to tour the community with Breathe Free Detroit, meeting and speaking with locals to learn about their experiences before, during, and after the incinerator. Even though the community shut down the city's waste incinerator, Detroit continues to fight for clean air and other sustainable waste solutions. We were lucky that the Mother Earth Foundation, a Gaia member in the Philippines, joined our visit to share their zero waste solutions.
Detroit is one of the blackest cities in the country, and so they treat us like we're a foreign third world space and don't nobody give a kitty, you know, and they're trying to sell it and give it up to a lot of the investors and to the developers who want to do stuff but don't want to have to deal with some real strict regulations and stuff.
Before all this was here, and up until probably the early 90s, this was a neighborhood. The city came up with a plan that they called this the I-94 Industrial Park, but it sat vacant, like they kind of forced people out, bought some people out. There's rumors that there are still some parcels over here that are still not deeded to these corporations. There's no way to prove it though. There used to be a elementary school right across the street on this side from, it was called Cooper, from USC College. So literally a hazardous waste facility was right across the street from an elementary school.
they want to act like they all that around these corporations coming here and pretend that they're gonna bring all these jobs here and make life better for folks. But at the same time, the people who lived here for years, they're not given any kind of resources to help people take care of their homes and repair them or whatever.
Detroit's incinerator, one of the largest municipal trash incinerators in the country, burned 5,000 tons of trash a day. Life near the incinerator brought all kinds of sacrifices. Community members were told not to go outside due to the horrible smell and the health risks associated with the pollution.
I used to live closer to the incinerator. We moved away. But just remember riding down the freeway and having to make sure you roll up your windows.
Katie Morelli, an organizer with Breathe Free Detroit, has been at the forefront of raising concerns about the incinerator's threats to public health and safety. We heard from her firsthand during our visit.
And you can see that all these people, that if they could leave, they left because they're also, this is east of that facility, right? So any pollution is coming here. So just like my community, like we're experiencing some very rare cancers, and then the high asthma rates, and the heart problems. We lost so many, both of us, Mark and I, lost so many community members to COVID because of that pre-existing condition. And we all have, like, we're living with these pollutants in our bodies, in our lungs, and in our blood. Even after the facility shut down, they still stay with us.
Gaia connected Breathe Free Detroit with the Mother Earth Foundation, who shared their expertise on decentralized composting systems over virtual meetings. Their ongoing partnership brought KT and Michelle to the Philippines in 2023 to see these systems up close and to share their story with decision makers on the decades-long effects an incinerator can have on a community. The Mother Earth Foundation shared their composting success in the Philippines with the Detroit City Council's Green Task Force. This partnership comes full circle as Gaia and the Mother Earth Foundation now organize against proposed incinerators in Metro Manila. Although community leaders brought these concerns to city officials, they got little to no response and felt their concerns were being ignored.
One of the things I really couldn't understand was EGLE, our department that fines people for odors. There's a white paper out now that talks about the air pollution in the city of Detroit, and that is straight out racism. So, like, here's the information, here's the documentation, here's everything that you need. So why is nothing happening?
EGLE, which stands for the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy, is responsible for air quality control, water, land, and energy resources throughout the state.
The system is really broken. In order for EGLE to call our representative that covers this area to drive here, sometimes from 20 minutes to 2 hours away, to then come here and verify that we're smelling an odor. By that point in time, the odor might be gone, the wind might have shifted, something might have happened. And he would be like, I don't smell anything. And we wouldn't get a permit violation because of that.
The now closed incinerator is just one of several surrounding facilities that continue to burden residents. And this small region of Detroit has a large number of air polluting sources, which include a municipal waste transfer site, a scrapyard, an auto assembly plant, an oil filtering and recycling plant, and a hazardous waste facility. We met with activists from Freedom Dreams, a coalition working to achieve a just transition and strengthen the community in an area badly affected by incineration.
We are on the move!
Walking over the land that once held homes, we were met with toxic odors from US Ecology Detroit South, a hazardous waste facility currently operated by Republic Services.
We just had a heavy wind and there's snowing on.
I smell it again.
Blew them all down.
Y'all smell that, right?
Back, yep. Definitely.
Over an hour later, EGLE sent a representative to investigate. We joined community members to voice concerns about the odors we smelled and EGLE's lack of responsiveness.
If you want to come into the community center real quick, then we can do
Yeah, sure.
And this is Sam from EGLE.
Yes.
Coming out on the
The air
field.
quality division.
But yeah, does anybody want to explain like what you felt or smelled or what happened to the hurricane?
Yeah, it smelled kind of like old penny, like pottery at first. It just smelled bad in general. And a bunch of us noticed that it gave us a headache after a while of standing out there and smelling it.
When was this too?
Right when I called, I can tell you.
Yep.
Yeah, it
I
smelled
can
like
give you
fresh
the
cut
exact
grass
time.
because they had just mowed the lawn recently.
Yeah,
And
11:07.
then all of a sudden, a couple of people said that it smelled like pennies, and I didn't smell that, so but I took off my mask and then it started to smell like I don't know, but like clearly toxic.
So at the time, what was the weather? It wasn't raining at the time.
No, it was right before the rain.
Yeah.
Okay. For these odors, it's kind of like a policing. You know, it's hard to report that someone's speeding if the police officer wants to witness the speeding themselves, and so that's why we try to come out, you know, as soon as we can to observe the odor ourselves. I think because of the rain, it's unlikely that might be why I wouldn't notice the odor today. But you know, calling and reporting the issue is the best way for us to document it. You know, if there are odors.
I was on a call, the host community agreement mandated meeting with a representative from US Ecology North, and I was really disturbed to learn that not only does US Ecology not have their own air quality monitors, you know, around their campus, but that Eagle only mandates that they have a 24-hour window once a month to do air quality monitoring. It seems like, you know, maybe like a child care center would have 24 hours once a month, but like a hazardous waste processing facility, it seems to me that if there's anybody that should have, 24/7 air quality monitors, it would be someplace like that.
What has John recommended? I mean, he has.
So what we're told to do is to call the 800 pollution air, the P's number. And when we called it today, I got through the first time, but then other folks, and I got text messages from other people in the neighborhood, said that they couldn't get through. And I tried getting through, and we called maybe 5 or 6 times after I got through, and it wasn't.
We are all stressing about the situation, but I'm beginning to have a problem of not really understanding your guys' role, because if we smell it, but we gotta wait till you smell it, there's an issue, there's a breakdown, and so I think the first part we need to do is correct the breakdown. You don't come within 5 or 10 minutes, and in 5 or 10 minutes, so how long do we have to deal with this issue? How many people have to die? To be real.
Years of lax enforcement led to water, air, and soil contamination, as Ecology Center's studies show. The city's urban farmers, who are literally hoping to grow their community's future, have to mitigate against these dangers. For many growers in the city, such as Robbie, this meant having to invest more time and resources into finding mulch and soil from neighboring counties to grow vegetables responsibly.
I mostly grow salad greens and root vegetables, and then in the summer the hoop house is filled with tomatoes. And those are kind of the main crops. I don't know if you've talked about why things look the way they were, but there were all houses that used to be here, and over the course of years and demolishing them, and the process of having to, it was always a unknown mystery of what was being used to fill the soil back in. And so did really intensive soil testing to make sure that the soil lead levels were safe. But the issue was that there was almost zero organic matter, super, people talk about soils being clay or sandy. I mean, this was beyond clay, and really, really difficult to grow in. And so I'd say well over 100 yards of compost have been added to this site. And it has entirely been brought in. We can take a peek into the hoop house. There's a few things growing. Next week, all the tomatoes are gonna get planted in there.
Who's under here?
Who's under here? Yeah, so we've got a few things. This is actually looking good. I haven't looked under here for a while. So I don't do all that much inner planting, but this is the one that I love.
It's amazing how you pull stuff, how you harvest it, and you smell that freshness. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing like it.
Totally. Yeah.
You might have seen like a bunch of trash that you walked by over there, but it was just little pieces because these folks and their volunteers took out like so much trash out of these forests that you just walked through.
I did all that.
Yeah, see? And so like this was the dumping ground. People realized that they didn't want to dump at the incinerator, so they just dumped in these vacant lots all throughout, but I'll let you hand it over to you.
I mean, yeah, that little forest right there was a 20-yard dumpster full of trash. It was sad because there were trees growing through the garbage, and you couldn't really see that it was garbage because, 30 years of leaf litter and it became soil. But then once we started walking on it, you can feel the, plastic and mattresses and all that. So we took all that out. The ground kind of keeps on giving, though. You could pick and pick and pick forever, or you could go, okay, we're done. Now let's put some wood chips. Let's build up. This is a 500-foot lot that was, people just didn't even know it was here for the most part because there's alleys on both sides, and it's like, even people from building safety and engineering department with the city don't understand why there's a 500-foot lot in the middle of this block. But we peeped it like years ago and started walking through here and walking the dog, and then I started mowing a path.
Cross-country
people got kind of into it. And so then there was a for sale sign on the corner. There was 4 lots, including this one. And so we made an offer and bought it. But this project is really special because it's a monument to the closing of the incinerator. This is like a long time coming. We've been thinking about how do we memorialize that. And so there's a lot of reasons that it happened that way. One of them was Great Lakes Environmental Law giving us a donation to use to kind of celebrate that. So there's going to be a lot of signs in here that talk about the environmental justice struggle of the neighborhood. We planted particularly large, good air filter trees, London plane trees, a lot of these are. So the idea is that it's an oxygen corridor to kind of filter the air as it moves through here, and a place to be in the shade. As you'll see, you walk through here, most of these trees, there's a lot of shrubs in here, but these trees are going to be huge towering trees. It'll be a little shady walk. And then on the end, there's the corner too. It ends at the corner, and there's a ring of boulders. So happy about this ring. We figured the amount of asphalt that we took out of here is equivalent to the weight of the boulders, so it's about 20 tons. Yeah. The one thing that we all have in common is a love for the birds. You see, she has this bird feeder out here. I'm like, we're gonna plant so many bird-friendly shrubs and trees, and actually where there's exposed soil is gonna be meadow, so it'll be a native plant meadow, kind of like we'll see in the bird park.
Although the road that lies ahead is long and difficult, the Detroit community members say it's worth the fight as they now look towards a brighter future without the incinerator and leading to zero waste.
Coming over here for about 20 years, and the change that's happened specifically in the last 3 or 4 years has just been phenomenal. The people in the community have always been great, yet the spaces that are being created by a number of people in the community just make it an even better place to be. So if you don't live around here, if you haven't been here before, then come back and visit us anytime.
Many U.S. cities and states are adopting aggressive climate change and sustainability goals. Waste reduction and diversion will play a critical role, as will the growing movement for less consumptive lifestyles that favor zero waste goals. The organizations in Gaia's network are tackling these pressing issues head-on, advocating for environmental justice, inspiring communities far and wide, and driving the movement toward a zero waste future. To learn more about Gaia's efforts, visit no-burn.org.